The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung. Sometimes we meet someone and it feels as if we've known them forever, as if destiny itself has orchestrated that encounter. But does that truly mean he's the right person for you? This is one of those questions that can stir both the heart and the mind, because attraction can be intoxicating and yet deceptive, while the deeper truth of compatibility often hides beneath layers of our unconscious. Jung believed that relationships are not just casual meetings of two people. They are encounters between two inner worlds, two psyches, two souls carrying their own shadows, longings, and unresolved stories. When we are drawn to someone, it can be a mirror reflecting our inner images, what Jung called the Anima and the Animus, or it can be a spark of something more enduring, something that calls us toward growth and transformation. Many times we confuse projection, the act of placing our inner needs and fantasies onto another person, with real love, and that confusion can make us believe we've found the one, when in reality we've only met a reflection of our own hidden self. But the beauty of Jung's insight is that he doesn't simply dismiss these moments of connection. He teaches us to look more deeply, to ask whether this relationship awakens our consciousness, whether it challenges us to grow, whether it calls us into wholeness rather than dependency. And so, as we explore his wisdom, I invite you to step into this journey with me, not just to analyze whether he is the right person, but to feel into what right truly means on the level of the soul. Because sometimes the right person isn't simply the one who makes us feel butterflies, but the one who holds a mirror to our shadow and still chooses to stay, the one who helps us discover our own strength, and the one who stands with us as we transform. That is what Carl Jung tried to show us, how to distinguish fleeting attraction from a true meeting of the soul. And in this video, we'll walk through his timeless insights to uncover how you can know if he's truly the right person for you. When Carl Jung spoke about love and human connection, he often returned to a powerful idea, that the people we fall for are rarely seen as they are, but as we imagine them to be through the lens of our unconscious. At the heart of this is his concept of the Anima and Animus. Every man, Jung argued, carries within him an inner feminine image, the Anima, while every woman carries an inner masculine image, the Animus. These inner figures are shaped by early experiences, cultural myths, and personal longings. When we meet someone who resonates with that inner image, it feels magnetic, almost fated, as if we have discovered the missing piece of ourselves. And yet, this attraction is often more about projection than about the actual person standing before us. We are not falling in love with them as they truly are, but with the reflection of our own unconscious needs. This is why relationships can feel so intoxicating in the beginning, and yet collapse when reality eventually surfaces. Jung warned that unless we learn to recognize projection, we risk mistaking fantasy for genuine love. But if we can see beyond projection, then we enter the deeper terrain of relationship, the encounter with the shadow. The shadow, in Jung's psychology, is everything about ourselves we tend to deny or repress: our flaws, our vulnerabilities, our insecurities, our unacknowledged desires. The right partner, from a Jungian point of view, is not the one who flatters our ego or keeps us comfortable in illusion, but the one who reflects back to us our shadow in ways that challenge us to grow. That reflection is rarely easy to accept. It can stir conflict, defensiveness, or discomfort. But if you find someone with whom you can confront your own shortcomings honestly, without fear of abandonment, then you may be standing in front of a truly significant relationship. For Jung, the presence of shadow work in love was a sign that the bond was not just built on projection, but on a path toward integration. And this leads to perhaps his most profound idea, that the purpose of the right relationship is not comfort, but transformation. Jung saw love not as a fairy tale where two halves make a whole, but as a crucible, a container in which both partners are reshaped into more conscious, more authentic versions of themselves. The right person is not necessarily the one who makes life easier, but the one who makes life deeper. They hold up a mirror to the unconscious, awaken us to parts of ourselves we never knew. and walk with us through the discomfort of becoming. If a relationship leaves you stagnant, trapped in old patterns, or dependent on illusions, it may not be right, no matter how passionate it feels. But if being with him draws out your courage, your honesty, your capacity for growth, then you are experiencing what Jung called individuation through relationship, the unfolding of the self in connection with another. In this sense, knowing whether he is the right person has less to do with the intensity of initial attraction, and more to do with whether that attraction evolves into something that transforms both of you. The true test is not how much he fits your fantasy, but how much the relationship reveals about who you are and who you can become together. The practical signs that Jung's psychology offers us are not about rigid checklists, but about subtle feelings and patterns that reveal the deeper truth of a connection. And the first of these is the harmony between the conscious and the unconscious. When he is the right person, it isn't just about how attractive he looks or how exciting the chemistry feels in the first weeks. It is about whether his presence allows you to feel fully at ease in both your inner and outer worlds. You notice that conversations with him do not require effort or masks, that your laughter is unguarded, that even moments of silence feel like a natural extension of being together rather than a gap that needs to be filled. It is in those quiet moments that a voice inside says, "I can be myself here," and that voice is the echo of an inner harmony, a resonance between your conscious awareness and your unconscious depth, which Jung would describe as one of the strongest indicators of a bond rooted in authenticity. Beyond harmony, however, there is the question of growth, and this leads to the second sign, mutual development. A relationship that is merely pleasant but leaves you unchanged may be comfortable, but it does not carry the transformative power that Jung saw as essential to love. The right person will gently, and sometimes not so gently, push you beyond your comfort zone. He will challenge you to see the world differently, to confront your own blind spots, and to expand your awareness of what is possible. In his presence, you may find yourself more curious, more courageous, and more willing to evolve. Love, in this sense, becomes a fertile soil for growth, not a drain on your energy, and you discover that instead of shrinking or becoming dependent, you are being stretched into a wider, fuller version of yourself. That brings us to the third sign, which Jung would insist upon. True relationships are about integration, not dependency. The cultural myth that someone out there completes us may sound romantic, but Jung argued that it is a dangerous illusion. Wholeness, or individuation, as he called it, comes from within. The right partner does not erase your incompleteness, but helps you recognize that you were already whole, and in doing so, adds depth to your self-discovery. If he is truly right for you, you do not lose your identity in his presence. Instead, you find that your individuality is honored, your autonomy respected, and your uniqueness even celebrated. His role is not to make you smaller or dependent, but to enrich the journey you are already on, to stand beside you as a companion in self-realization. Finally, the most challenging and yet most vital sign, the balance between love and shadow. Jung taught that every human being carries a shadow, the parts of ourselves that we would rather hide, deny, or forget. The right person is not the one who seems flawless or perfect, but the one whose flaws you can see without disillusionment, and whose shadow does not frighten you away, because you sense a deeper truth beneath it. And just as importantly, he is the one who can see your shadow, the sides of you that are insecure, difficult, or imperfect, and still choose to stay, not with judgment, but with acceptance. This balance is never easy. It requires honesty, humility, and the willingness to sit with discomfort rather than escaping into fantasy. Yet when you and he can hold both love and shadow together without losing respect or tenderness, the relationship transcends superficial ideals and becomes a place of real humanity, real intimacy, and real transformation. So, knowing if he is the right person is not about whether the butterflies in your stomach keep fluttering, nor is it about whether he fits an image you once carried in your mind. It is about whether you find harmony between your conscious self and your unconscious depths when you are with him, whether the connection nurtures mutual growth, whether your individuality remains intact and enriched rather than erased, and whether both of you can stand in the light of love while also embracing the reality of shadow. These are the living, practical signs Jung's wisdom leaves us with, and when they are present, you are no longer lost in projection or fantasy. You are walking alongside someone who can truly be called the right person. Not because he completes you, but because with him, you are more yourself than you have ever been. In the end, what Carl Jung invites us to see is that knowing whether he is the right person is not about a single spark of attraction or the thrill of early chemistry, but about a journey of awareness and depth. It is about asking yourself, does this relationship only mirror back my inner images and projections, or does it call me to step into my true self? Because in Jung's vision, real love is not about finding your missing half, but about meeting the one who helps you realize that you were whole all along, and who walks with you as you grow into that wholeness. So when you think of the right person, don't only look for the butterflies or the surface harmony. Look for the one who reflects both your light and your shadow, and still chooses to stay. Love, in its truest sense, is not about losing yourself in another, but about becoming more of who you really are through the bond you share. And now, I'd love to hear from you. Do you believe the right person can be recognized by the heart alone? Or do you think it takes both the heart and conscious awareness to truly know? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to see how you experience this question in your own life.